Okay, so we're back in the junkyard scene, and now I'm just switching it to real-time mode just so I can move around a lot faster. I'm gonna start dropping some of these car assets in there that we just collapsed with physics. So you bring that in. I'll group it just to center out the pivot. So the cars are looking a little small, so I'm gonna scale them up just so they sit in the scene much better. Now I'm just scattering around, looking through my camera, making sure that the cars look like they're in a good orientation, and I'm just gonna start duplicating this just to make sure that our scene is looking full and complete. And I'm just rotating them, and just so we can get some variation. Then I'm gonna bring in a character. She's a bit small too. I guess the scene is scaled up quite a bit, so just doubling her scale, trying to fill her out, place her roughly where I had her before in the original scene. Getting rid of that camera. Then I'm gonna just disable that old directional light because it's not really where I want it to be. So now we're gonna hide that camera. We're gonna create a new directional light. Make sure that we arrange this lighting so that it's in front of the camera, so we get in long raking shadows coming towards the camera, and that way it'll lead our eye towards the scene. So now I'm just looking and making sure that the sun is exactly where I want it to be. And I think this is feeling pretty cool. The camera angle is a bit wide, so I think it was at like 11 millimeters. So I'm going to turn it to a 24 millimeter, and then just reorientate my camera so that the framing is nice, and she's on the thirds, making sure we're getting low, so that when we start placing those cars in the sky, that will be in a focal point as well. And these are really the fun parts about playing and create and lighting and create and world building, because you can just see your lighting instantly, you can see your updates instantly, set dressing and all that. So it makes it really fun and really intuitive to create worlds. So I think here now I'm going to start bringing in my tire stacks that we created earlier, grouping that so I can center out the pivots, scaling them up, placing them, just checking my framing in the camera while I set dress so that all the composition is on point, making sure I'm trying to lead my eye into the scene, framing it nicely, making sure that there's some balance within on the left and the right compositionally. Now I'm going to start bringing in some cars from the sky. Again, looking through my camera angle, just making sure everything is lining up nicely and framing nicely, and kind of just mimicking what I've done in the past as far as with the first initial concept that I created. Just getting the cars in the sky, making sure it's not blocking the lighting from her face. At some point I'll get into that, but right now I'm just working in real-time mode just for speed purposes. It's good to just get that in, making sure my cars there's no tangents as far as the cars with a tangent on the building. Make sure the lines are not matching up, and making sure that things are intersecting. Now checking my path trace, making sure the lighting is looking good. Right now I think I noticed that she was being blocked by light, so I'm just trying to move the cars away out of the lighting so that she doesn't get omitted from the light. Okay, so now I'm going to introduce some atmosphere by enabling path trace fog. Right out the box is pretty cool, but I need to lower the density, play with the height a bit, and play with the asymmetry. I'd like to get a bit of bloom right where the core of the sun is. Something like that. Okay, so here's our final rendered image in Create. I'm gonna press F10 and save this out. And then I think I need one more additional pass just to showcase her powers. It's gonna be some interactive light coming from her hands, and it's gonna be like a bright and cool in tone. Probably make it like a cyan tone lighting, so I can just have contrast from the warm lighting coming from the sun and then the cool lighting coming from her hands. It'll just make her pop even more in this scene. So now we're just gonna reduce the spherical light so it's not going through our arms. Let's turn on path trace mode so we can get a ground truth. And it's looking a little warm, so we're gonna reduce that. Lastly, just add an additional light so we can get some lighting on her right hand. Just so, you know, we can get some rim lighting from that to give her a little silhouette. So I think it needs to be a little bit brighter, just so I can reduce it if I need to in Photoshop. And I think we're good. Let's render this out and then bring it into Photoshop as a composite layer and start to tweak that.